Well, you're right on time for breaking today. Good evening from where you're watching us from. My name is Joel Church and our sign language interpreter is Teresia Washira. On a day that the Ministry of Health has reported 335 new COVID-19 cases, 340 recoveries and 8 deaths. We have a lot in line for you and these are our top stories.
So we rely on what the government provided, and that it seems like they have disobeyed that one.
Upper Hill High School on the spot of an explained fee increment and mishandles and harass Switch TV crew.
So that was something that he was trying to do to save face, to throw off people off his scent.
We break down the components of the letter by Rungu Kangata to the president to better understand how the sun stopped shining from the mountainside.
I just wanted to express our friendship and our faith in the United States. What happened today in Washington, D.C. is not America, definitely.
World leaders condemned the horrifying scenes in Washington after supporters of U.S. President Donald Trump stormed the Capitol building. Well, be sure to reach us via 111 444 111. We start with education matters. With schools reopening this week, parents of Upper Hill High School are complaining of an explained fee increment by the school. Our Switch TV crew was mishandled and harassed by the school management as they tried to interview the angry parents. Robert Ouma reports.
The Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha issued a notice of no fee increment during this back-to-school season, but here in Upper Hill Secondary School, the situation is different.
School fees was increased without any communication to the parents. Initially, last time as they opened, we usually pay 17,600 and some coins, but it was pushed to 27,000. Nobody explained to us anything, so we just paid because the students were coming back to do mocks.
Sasa ile group ya wazazi yenye kila mtu alikuwa na participate ikablokiwa ikaona only administration. Na hiyo ni kazi ya principal, umeelewa?
From a letter seen by Switch TV, parents in this city school are complaining of lack of an official fee structure and an unexplained fee increment.
Then unaitisha kitu inaitwa motivation fee. So kama unalipa mshahara, motivation ya nini? Ama unalipa wewe kama unalipa motivation uende field work.
From this leaked WhatsApp conversation displays angry parents who wanted the school to explain as to why the administration had raised the normal fee by 28,000 from the normal 50,000.
My son is coming right now at around 3. I don't know whether they'll allow him in or they'll send him back home. But according to me, I've paid everything that is supposed to be paid to this school according to the government fee structure that we were given.
As we tried to get views from parents around the school, we were mishandled as seen in this video that was recorded using our phones.
We had an official WhatsApp group for the parents and the teachers of Form 4. And when this thing came up and the confusion was brought up, it was deactivated by the school. So we could not communicate to them, and therefore, as a result, we decided to write a letter, which we could present to them, and then they look at and see if we can address it. And if you have an issue with the school, they'll never let you go and see the principal. Even getting his telephone number is a problem. Even the teachers, I think, have been scared to death. They can't give you his telephone number. So we are at a loss. Nobody gives guidance to the parents. It's like it's running on autopilot, this school. So we don't know what we're going to do.
After the notice issued by the CES Magoha that bars journalists from entering schools, we did not manage to get a comment from the school administration over this unscrupulous business. Now, behind me is Upper Hill Secondary School, and parents with students in this learning institution have grievances that needs to be addressed with utmost speed. Robert Ouma, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Family and friends of the late Mama Hannah Atsanzale gathered today to pay the last respects during a Requiem Mass at Friends International Center, Ngong Road. Mama Hannah's Requiem Mass was graced by prominent politicians from across the country. Our reporter Harry Chimea files the report on the politics that dominated the Mass.
Mama Hana Astianzale, who was the wife of the late Minister Moses Mudavadi and mother to Amani National Congress leader and former Vice President Musalia Mudavadi, passed away at the ripe age of 92 years on December 28th while receiving treatment at the Nairobi hospital. The mass was attended by various legislators, including Deputy President William Ruto, Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula, Health CS Mutahi Kagwe, and Speaker of National Assembly Justin Muturi, among others.
It was truly a rainbow gathering. A rainbow gathering because every part of the country we had somebody coming in to say Pole. And that is the spirit that we'd really want to be with.
Speaking during the Requiem Mass for Mudavadi's mother, Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala said ANC party leader is not just a leader of the Luhya community, but the country.
And if you want to support Musalia Mudavadi, you cannot support him if you're in ODM. Sakaja, unasema wewe kuhu amelala hapa, wewe unatoka Bushangala. You are in Jubilee. You will never support Musalia when you're in Jubilee. So tuambiane ukweli.
You have walked with me. Weta, we have walked together. I give my pledge that we will walk this journey together.
Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula, speaking of unity, echoed that Luhya speak in one voice.
Yes, we must be united. And as we unite, we must be part of the larger family called Kenya. And unity will be meaningless if rights and privileges are shunned away from you and enjoyed by others.
Deputy President William Ruto also condoled with the family and called on leaders to unite to help the nation navigate through the economic crisis triggered by the coronavirus pandemic.
So because we are now all talking together, I think it's only fair that we manage this situation together without saying it is you guys.
Mudavadi's mother will be laid to rest on Saturday, January 9th at her Mululu home, Sabashia in Vihiga County. Harechimea, Switch TV.
Moving on, Senate Majority Whip Irungu Kang'ata's letter to the president hit political waves in the country and became a top trend. Kang'ata, being a stern supporter to the president and senior crew member to the BBI train, was not expected to make such a letter to the public, which brands BBI unpopular. However, our news desk sits down with seasoned political analyst Mark Bichachi, who helps to break down the components of the letter and to better understand how the sun stopped shining from the mountainside. He starts the interview by answering the question, what Murang'a Senator Irungu Kang'ata was trying to mean.
His letter is not about what is written in the letter. His letter is about what he wanted to achieve. And what he wanted to achieve is to deliver to the public, not even to the president, because if he wanted to speak to the president, he could pick up his phone and speak to the president. But he wanted to deliver a message to the public that the BBI is unpopular and that it's standing on shaky ground. Now, by the time he was pulling this back, the damage had already been done. What is the damage? To skew the public perception against BBI and to dishearten the supporters of BBI. That's really what he wanted to do. That's what it was about. The rest is really fluff, because if you talk about a multiple choice question, that is a ship that sailed a long time ago. If you talk about BBI is not popular, who has marketed BBI? Have you seen, Ruto has had rallies all of December. Have you seen Raila on a BBI popularization rally? Have you seen Uhuru do that?
Now, in a tweet recently, Irungu Kang'ata has claimed that this letter was not meant to get to the media, but apparently it got to us, the media, and we've been talking about it. Do you think this was just a political statement or a strategy?
No, it was a strategy for him to save face and try to save his own hide, because such information is not something that you communicate through the channels that he says he was communicating to. If Uhuru Kenyatta is his party boss, he is the majority whip in the Senate. So all he needed to do was literally could have walked to State House and delivered the message. He would have called Uhuru. So that was something that he was trying to do to save face, to throw off people off his scent.
Now, some of the components in Irungu Kang'ata's letter claim that BBI is not popular in Central Region Kenya. Him being a senior senator and a senator of Murang'a County, should we believe him?
Well, the question is, who is making it unpopular? And whose job is it to make it popular? Now, we know that there's a Tanga wing of Jubilee that has had a concerted effort in unpopularizing Jubilee, the BBI. You know that Gladys Boschole did a video that was full of falsehoods to depopularize BBI. We know that Tanga for a long time has called it Beba Baba Ikulu, you know, jobs for the boys and things like that. So has there been an effort to depopularize BBI? Yes. BBI is not unpopular out of thin air. A lot of work and money and propaganda has been put down to depopularize BBI. Now, the question then you have to ask Irungu Kang'ata is then whose job is it to popularize BBI?
Well, this being just politics, Irungu Kang'ata has made new political enemies and new political friends. Was he just trying to gain fame?
No, he, in my view, and I say this without fear or favor, I think he is a Tanga mole, if there is such a term. I think the entire letter, how it was written, how he tried to handle it back, is the classic how a mole will handle such a thing, right? He is a Tanga mole. That's what I see, unless he proves me otherwise. And what he was trying to do, he was trying to push the Tanga narrative and give a sign to the Tanga side that when the time is right, he will betray Uhuru the same way Judas betrayed Jesus.
Could you say that Kang'ata is trying to build himself a tent in Ruto's camp?
It was a sign. It was a sign that when the time is right, he will betray Uhuru Kenyatta the same way Jesus was betrayed by Judas. This is what, if there was a sign, you know the Swahili say, akumulikaye mchana usiku atakuchoma. Kang'ata has just mulikad Uhuru in broad daylight. At night, he might just torch Uhuru's house.
How is Ruto's popularity currently in the central region?
Now, you see, that's a difficult question to answer, okay? And I'll tell you why it's difficult to answer. Number one, in this country, every politician declares themselves popular until they lose an election. Every politician is doing very well until an election comes by. Now, this is how I would gauge. Number one, if you gauge Ruto's popularity by way of how many Central Kenya leaders are following the crumbs that fall from his table, then you would say he's very popular. But also, you do realize that this is 2-3 years after an election. And there's something very strange that happens in Kenya every 2-3 years after an election. The population is intensely angry at the state, okay? So the people who are now supporting, in quotes, what Ruto is doing, are they really angry at the way government is doing, or are they really supporting Ruto?
And what about Raila, or rather ODM? Where are they in all this? Are they being shortchanged?
So here's the theory, all right, that ODM is playing at. Theory is this, that Uhuru needed 5 years of peace because he had experienced 5 years of tear gas Monday, tear gas Wednesday, tear gas Thursday, right? So he's looking for 5 years of peace with Raila. So he created a project called BBI to keep Raila busy. That's the theory. Now, if that is true, then all of this is an elaborate scheme to put one William Ruto in power. That's one school of thought. The other school of thought is that Uhuru is genuine, but he has to maintain his Jubilee ship, and therefore he has to compromise with William Ruto, and then he has to also stabilize his partnership with Raila. So he's trying to play both sides against the middle, and it's a difficult game for anyone to play. What is my view? I think we have to wait and see. And where do we wait and see? Let us see whether Uhuru Kenyatta will take steps to ensure that he steadies the ship, because whatever is leaking in his ship is from the Tanga side. That's where the leakage is coming from. Will he stem the leakage? If we see him stemming the leakage, then you know where Uhuru's heart and mind is. And I can bet you it is not with William Ruto. He is not with William Ruto.
Then who?
Huh?
Then who?
You know, someone asked me that question, and I told them there's a silent candidate in this upcoming election. That candidate is called not William Ruto. This is, if you read the signs, you see, typically politicians coalesce to win power. But we're seeing a lot of politicians coalesce to say no to Ruto. So there is a candidate, and I believe that's the same candidate Uhuru Kenyatta has. That candidate is called not William Ruto.
Thank you, Mark, very much for having us.
You're most welcome.
That was Mark Bichachi, political analyst. I have been Daniel Kariuki.
Well, thank you, Daniel Karuki, for that. We are due for a short commercial break, but before that, on our top story today, which is about Upper Hill High School increasing school fees, I'm having on Facebook, there is CCTV Kenya, Hilda Dhua Wairimu saying the rate at which school fees has been hiked, you might think kuna shamba tumeuza. That's Hilda Dhua watching, of course, on our Facebook live stream. And also, Kitari Doris saying it's sad. Keep your comments coming in via 111 444 111, and we're also live on Facebook and YouTube at Switch TV Kenya. For now, we are taking a short commercial break. We'll be back with more stories. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Breaking Today. My name is Joel Church and our sign language interpreter is Teresia Washira. Keep interacting with us on our social media platforms at Switch TV Kenya, Joel Chacha M on Twitter, and as well on Facebook at Switch TV Kenya. Moving on, an anti-corruption court has formally withdrawn a petition filed by Nairobi voter Peter Agoro challenging the nomination of Anne Kananu as Nairobi's deputy governor. But Justice Hedwig Ondungi, or rather Ongundi, on Thursday said the alleged petition has not been paid for and it is not before her, so she cannot make any directions. With the leadership conundrum facing Nairobi and Anne Kananu Mwenda coming into the picture, legally and politically, where is the Nairobi politics heading? Our very own Clifford Ndubi has an analysis into the twists and turns facing this county.
At the heart of Kenya's capital is the unending political supremacy battle to control one of the key devolved units of the country, Nairobi County. And one name that has thrown spanner in the works is Anne Kananu Mwenda, who was appointed by the then Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko
in accordance with Article 180, Section 6 of the Constitution, which says, IEBC shall not conduct a separate election for the deputy governor, but shall declare the candidate nominated by the person who is elected county governor to have been elected as the deputy governor. Further to this complex succession matrix making the nomination, since at the time, Anti-Corruption Court Magistrate Douglas Ogoti had barred Sonko from accessing office after he was charged with graft. The big question, what will happen to the 16 running mates, to the aspirants in the event Anne Mwenda sails through the vetting process?
What the IEBC should have done is to have only a governor's candidate, gubernatorial candidate, but not a running mate. In a situation like that, this kind of a by-election does not require somebody to have a running mate. But I understand, right now, that office is also vacant. But you see, the office of deputy governor can be filled by a governor making an appointment.
Now, with the leadership conundrum facing Nairobi County since the general election of 2017, August 8th, the big question is, how did Nairobi County find itself in such a cage?
The original deal for Sonko was for him to play the politics and have someone else do the running of the county. When his deputy governor left and Sonko refused to appoint a deputy governor, the Jubilee Party and the state had no choice than to create the NMS.
For now, all eyes are on the relevant authorities charged with ensuring that comes 18th, a new sheriff should be elected to the Green City, either through a well-crafted political acumen or legally. Clifford Ndubi, Switch TV.
Crossing borders now, the world watching shock and horror as a mob of Donald Trump supporters, encouraged by the US president, has stormed the US Capitol in a bid to thwart lawmakers from their constitutional duty of certifying Democrat Joe Biden's victory. As Lincoln Wambugu explains, here is how a day of unprecedented chaos unfolded in Washington.
At this hour, our democracy is under an unprecedented assault, unlike anything we've seen in modern times. An assault on the citadel of liberty, the Capitol itself.
We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side.
It should have been one of the most straightforward days the U.S. presidential transition, with Congress certifying Democrat Joe Biden's victory, a procedure so routine it usually merits little, if any, news coverage. Instead, the world watched in shock and horror on Wednesday as a mob of Donald Trump supporters, encouraged by the president, stormed the U.S. Capitol in a bid to thwart lawmakers from their constitutional duty. World leaders and governments continue to express shock and outrage at the storming of the U.S. Capitol in Washington by supporters of President Donald Trump. Former President Barack Obama blames Donald Trump and Republicans for the attack of the U.S. Congress, calling it a moment of great honor and shame for the United States. German President Frank Walter denounces the attack at the heart of the American democracy after storming of the U.S. Capitol by supporters of Donald Trump in Washington.
Nur von allein passiert das nicht. Wir sehen die Bilder vom Kapitol, aber wir vergessen.
This was an attack at the heart of American democracy, an attack that has cost the lives of 4 people. The images have shocked us and showed us how vulnerable even the oldest and the most powerful democracy in the world is.
Heute auch an uns alle. Hass und Hetze gefährden die Demokratie, Lügen gefährden die Demokratie, Gewalt gefährdet die Demokratie.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Twitter condemned the disgraceful scenes the U.S. Congress. The United States stands for democracy around the world, and it's now vital that there should be a peaceful and orderly transfer of power. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the rampage at the Capitol yesterday was a disgraceful act and it must be vigorously condemned.
Lawlessness and violence are the opposite of the values we know Americans and Israelis cherish. The rampage at the Capitol yesterday was a disgraceful act, and it must be vigorously condemned. I have no doubt that American democracy will prevail. It always has.
According to French President Emmanuel Macron in a video posted on his official Twitter account, he says what happened today in Washington is not American.
I just wanted to express our friendship and our faith in the United States. What happened today in Washington, D.C. is not America, definitely.
Iranian President Hassan Rouhani said that the chaos unleashed in the U.S. Capitol by U.S. counterpart Donald Trump supporters exposed the fragility of Western democracy.
What we saw in the United States yesterday evening and today shows above all how fragile and vulnerable Western democracy is. Its foundations are not solid.
Lincoln Ombogo, Switch TV News.
And now in the world of business, pickup and delivery sector suffered a blow when the country went into lockdown. Most small outlets that deliver food and drinks to offices are still counting losses. 8 months later, the owners are hopeful that the food business is recovering as number of sales have gone up since late last year. Joan Kutuni with the report.
Today we met a popular food freelancer in the Central Business District who supplies packed food to many offices in town, and he recounts how tough 2020 was to him and his business.
Many companies were shut down, many people were retrenched, many people are not coming to work. Actually, people were told to stay at home, you know. So if people are staying at home, nobody's coming to work, you know. And then I had clients whom I was delivering food to like daily, on a daily basis, and they were cut off from their salaries and even workplaces. So I had time.
By last year, he had hired several employees and had to let go of some due to shrinkage in the hotel sector.
So I had to cut some workers away from work. Yeah, I just had to retrench some kidogo on a half a salary. But in the long run, I found that it was very hard. So nikawambia tu wa chill. When they come back, when businesses like resume, you know, nitawapigia simu. So I had to remain with the ones that were at least doing sales vizuri. Unaelewa? Kwa sababu sio kila mtu atauza food.
He tells Switch TV how he had to shelf his expansion plan of the food freelance gig as business was booming before the pandemic hit.
If I had money, like I wanted to expand my business, you know, I couldn't just do that because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know whether it's going to pick up or pandemic is going to last for 2 years or for 1 year. So I decided to hold on and concentrate on this major part, like introduce new services, maybe expand on deliveries, or I expand on walk-ins. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. So I decided to hold it on a bit.
Like most small entrepreneurs, the owner of Zion Delicacies is hopeful 2021 will be a better year for him and many others as the COVID-19 curve continues to flatten, signaling that the epidemic is dying down. Reporting for Switch TV, my name is Joan Kutun.
Well, time to now get sporty. Manchester City deservedly beat Manchester United to reach the Carabao Cup final and will now face Tottenham at Wembley as they look to win the competition for 4th straight year. Second half goals from John Stones and Fernandinho secured City progress into the final, and they will equal Liverpool's record of winning the League Cup 4 times in a row if they beat Jose Mourinho's Spurs on Sunday, 25th April.
After kick-off through a John Stones own goal, but Marcus Rashford wandered offside in the build-up to the score. Minutes later, City were denied a breakthrough, with Ike Gundogan caught by the offside trap.
Meanwhile, Lionel Messi scored twice as Barcelona beat Athletic Bilbao to go third in La Liga. Athletic took an